So why are you involved in this project?
You asked me to? Sounded like an interesting premise to explore. I thought it would be a bit of a challenge. So I thought, what could we have in common? Seems are our circumstances similar or not? And I didn't know much about Newcastle or Ashington or the people from there so much. I did a little bit of research online and just thought it would be a good process just being here and learning more about the place and the people and circumstances.
And how do you describe your identity?
I identify as Aboriginal just because my mother's obviously is Aboriginal, and people grew up through racism and stuff said you're Aboriginal, but even though growing up I didn't want to be Aboriginal, I was ashamed of it. I avoided going out in the sun in case I got even more Aboriginal, blacker, darker. And then when I got older, sort of more proud of being Aboriginal, wanted to learn more about it, my family history and stuff. When I moved to Brisbane, and sort of funny situation where people, like girls would say, "Oh, I like your tan," and I was thinking, "Are you taking the piss? Is that another racist thing?" But so it was like it was confusing what to be or what people meant by things as well.
I suppose one of the things that's quite difficult to understand in this context, because it's a very distant context to rural Australia, the extent to which racism is part of people's everyday experience. In what way is Australia, or was Australia, and still is, racist?
Well, if you asked anyone in the town if they were racist, they'd probably say they weren't. But there's like a sense of racial superiority, I think, or because they think Aboriginal people are way down the food chain or the great chain or whatever that was called, that genetic thing. And they've sort of benefited of racial acts, even claiming of the land and things like that. This legal fiction of terra nullius, some sort of perpetuation of that. And you see it every day in the news, some kind of racism from the government, whether it's closing down Aboriginal communities, turning off water and power, things they don't do in white communities, and sending the army in to take control of people's lives, which they only do with Aboriginal people. And also things like income management, where they have got a basics card which you can only spend on groceries or certain things, not alcohol, pornography. They trial those things on Aboriginal people first, and then they slowly introduce it into white people's communities. Yeah. But and responses to things like Adam Goods, the football player's little war dance at the end of the winning in the goal. That's like, because he's Aboriginal, he's being defiant and stuff. Yeah. If you're not white, male, Christian, hetero, I think you can pretty much expect a big lot of a pushback from the rest of the society. Because, if like we saw the female Prime Minister, she got a lot more negative press and people just outright abusing her, saying that she should be put in a chaff bag and thrown out to sea to drown and stuff. Male Prime Minister doesn't get those kind of comments usually. So.
Do you think there's something about the set I've experienced that has masked, has created this homogenisation of people's identities? You've only been here a while. Is this one of the things I've always discussed with Mary, is the extent to which she would say, the aristocracy did things to their own people. And it never felt like they're not our people, and it never felt like our people. But in Australia, it feels like there is just a binary distinction between people that, like, everybody has had inflicted on them. What is there something different into the context?
I always wondered how, because very apathetic too, I think Australian people are. I think because they bring in more control, like people lose their civil liberties and there's more draconian laws, but no one seems to mind. Oh, okay, must be for the best. I thought, is that some kind of convict transgenerational thing that's carried over, where they sort of expect to be punished? And I grew up in a town that's 300 kilometres west of Brisbane. Brisbane's 100 kilometres west of the east coast of Australia. It was a small town of 1,200 people. Always wondered how it survived, because it's very dry and arid, dead, flat place. Massive amounts of tree clearing for primary industries. Totally destroyed the landscape and the fertility of the ground. But I grew up. I was in the town, so there was like farms outside the town, way outside the town. And I thought we were the only Aboriginal family in the town until I sort of ventured out to be more social. I wasn't a very sociable person, and discovered another Aboriginal family on the fringes of the town, opposite side of the town, and they were more ashamed of being Aboriginal than my family was, because their mother never left the house. She was too embarrassed to be seen out in the main street or whatever, so she just confined herself to a house, pretty much. I thought that was a bit sad. So but the whole town even hated themselves, pretty much. That's the feeling I got. All the people I knew, I sort of knew most people in the town, but there's a thing called tall poppy syndrome in Australia, where they don't like anyone who thinks they're better than everyone else. They sort of knock them down, like cutting down the tall poppies. And there was that was pretty pervasive. Like someone did open a restaurant in the town which only had 2 tables, but they were like, everyone I knew, people did go visit, but everyone I knew thought, what the hell are they think this is Paris? Like someone said, what do they think this is Paris or something? Like, how stupid of you to open up that restaurant. That was negative attitude was everywhere. Like,
and you said a lot of your art is based on memory, the theme of memory, or the theme of experience or sensation or something. In what way are you drawing on these experiences, your memories, in developing this installation?
A lot of my work deals with memory. I'm sort of fascinated with the nature of memory because I know it's very fallible. Sometimes I'm not sure if the things I remembered actually happened or not. And there's things that people have said have happened that I don't remember. And I know it's a reconstructive thing as well. Like every time you remember something, something gets added to it. It sort of changes. I've seen people recount things that aren't quite true. Sort of embellish things, or some sort of detail is around the wrong way or something. I'm really fascinated by that. Not sure why, really, but because I don't really remember a lot of my childhood. I hardly remember anything at all, actually. So the earliest memory I have is of a religious play at kindergarten, but that's been reinforced by a photograph. I think that's the only reason I remember that event. And so for this show, I thought I'd just continue with the memory, and as a collaboration with Matt Calder, who works with clay, I thought that might be a good medium to instigate this idea, because it's something I'm unfamiliar with, I don't use, and I think it would be a good challenge to use clay. And then I was thinking, I should think about all my memories of clay. What are my memories of clay? And then I thought of the landscape, which there's lots of clay sort of ground when you get down deep enough. And I remember that from my father's earth moving work that he did. And so, I'm going to recreate the landscape as well, because it would rain. Like there's a storm season, and at end of every year there's like lots of big electrical storms, and the ground gets wet, but it doesn't last very long, and it's sort of very hot. It gets up to 40 degrees sometimes, and the ground cracks, and so I'm going to do that with the clay on the floor of the gallery. I'm going to make a tractor tyre with, make a track of clay, imprint a tractor tyre into it, so you get the tread pattern, which is another memory of mine of seeing that when I was playing around and outside in the backyard, play inside the track with toy cars and things. So I just was fascinated by the patterns and what they made, the imprint. And then another piece is a clay pipe, which is a ceremonial object in my father's secret society, which is the Royal Antediluvian Order of Buffaloes. And I remember discovering the pipe and wondering what it was, asked questions about it. He didn't want to divulge anything. And it was broken. So it also relates to secrecy in the family, about whether he's my biological father or not, and his other secrets he had of a previous marriage. And so I've got a pipe, and I'm going to break it and display it like that, because it was broken for new initiates into the secret society. And another piece is a remnant from a previous exhibition to do with memory, which involved smell. I had a perfumer make 11 scents that made up 7 memories of mine, and one half of my father's memory, which is wood fire, smoke and clay. Using the clay bottle to display here, the clay perfume. And I'm going to have some lyrics from post-punk English band called VV, with lyrics of Matthew Johnson, Alienation, written in clay on the walls. Maybe, I'm not sure which ones I'm using yet. I'm going to have a look through them all.
And just like on not an anthropological question, you talk about secrets, and in both communities, historically, there were secrets. Ritual knowledge would be sacred secret knowledge. But also over here, a lot of society operated on the basis of secrets. People would hide things, conceal things, conceal sources of shame and things like that. I suppose in one world that is increasingly difficult to do, my impulse as soon as there's a source of embarrassment is just to avoid ever being a secret by admitting it. Do you think, what effect does that have on us, do you think? A society without secrets.
Society without secrets.
Yeah.
I guess a secret can benefit in some ways. I think if, I don't know, maybe the atom bomb should have remained a secret, that knowledge. I don't know. Things like, I guess, things people may not need to know about, I don't know. But I feel like things should be known, I think, for better or worse. All out in the open, I guess. Yeah.